everybody, this is James.
And Nabil.
And Mikey.
And this is the Movie Pals podcast number 149. Today we're reviewing the Guardians of the Galaxy Vol. 3, but before that, we are actually bringing back an oldie but goodie, I guess you might call it, with
Classic.
What We Watching, a section we haven't done in so long because we've been watching Coppola films for a year and a half. So,
yeah, it's been a long time, and we miss him. We miss the segment quite a bit.
Yeah, and as you guys know, Mikey's on the podcast with us today because Marco is currently, I believe, going on a small hiatus. Possibly.
He's a working man, ladies. He's getting his life together. He's off the market now. He's out in the world. I mean, but is he really ever off the market? If you know what I mean. You know, he's just going to a new area, researching for new people, finding new prospects. That's the kind of man Marco is. He's a maverick.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck Nabil's talking about, but Marco basically has a new career and he's taking some time to get acclimated to that. So I don't know what the fuck Nabil's talking about.
Don't worry, guys, because Marco always puts us first. We are his first love, and by extension, you are his first loves.
Yeah, I mean, for God's sakes, we're about to do a Marvel movie without Marco. This is probably the first time, I'm assuming.
Yeah, but if it was a DC film, you know he would have quit his job to be here. So,
but knowing it's a Marvel film, I mean, this is probably going to be in his top 10 of the year, anyways. Just mark my words here.
Yeah, we already know his review, so don't worry, guys.
Something about emotions, good director, something about writing. I don't know, something good. Anyways, so yeah, Mikey's here with us. He's at least on this episode. We're probably gonna have another guest on the next one. Maybe not.
Maybe not. Could just be us two.
Anyways, we're drifting away here. So yeah, Mikey's here. We're gonna jump into what we're watching though. So without further ado, let's get into what we're watching.
Hey, what you watching?
So this is a segment here, if you get first time, where we just go over what we've been watching. Movies, TV shows. We even go over, like, if you're reading books, video games. We kind of added that in, I recall, during, like, COVID, because it was getting kind of desperate times back then. So, but hey, if you have something that's taking up your time, you just want to know, what are you doing recently, and what would you recommend? So I'm going to start with Nabil here. Nabil, what have you been watching? Or I believe you've got a game too.
I do. So, if you ever have heard the segment, I never tend to have the more, we'll say, consistently mainstream things.
Oh, so you saw the Coronation of the King? That's the whole time? Okay. So, Mikey, what have you been up to?
All hail the king, everyone. That's what you say now. God save him.
Feels like I watched all 14 hours. What about you guys?
I saw Prince William's bald little head up there kissing his dad's feet. It's great, good times. But what I did do, aside from watching the Coronation, is play a game called Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. This is a game that came out in 2021 on PlayStation 5 by Insomniac Games. It's a series basically about this like wombat guy and his little machine robot buddy Clank, who is out just doing crazy adventures. It's an old platforming style game, but with great graphics, a good story, and some dynamic gameplay. I remember playing the I want to say it was 2018 Ratchet and Clank kind of soft reboot game that came out for PS4, and I came to it late, and I was very surprised at how much I enjoyed the game. So I figured I'd want to pick this up eventually and get to it again to kind of change it up from all these other big open world AAA games that is taking a lot more time of my life than I wanted to.
It actually came out in 2016, by the way.
2016. Oh,
yeah.
I think I played in 2018, so
maybe that's it. Yeah, I was late to that game too.
Yeah, I was. So this is just a sequel to that game, essentially, but you don't really need to know much about the previous game to play this one. Yeah. Pretty solid graphics as always. I think it uses one of the better better games with visualization capability of the PS5 compared to some other games where they're just kind of ported over, to work with all the different platforms. So that's one great thing about it, and it's a very simple gameplay, but it gives you enough interest with the story to different types of worlds that you get to travel to. You get to play as a different character, not just the main wombat, which is Ratchet. There's another one in there as well, which is fun to try a little bit of different things, although they share the same kind of combat styles. There's not really a lot of diversity between the two. But what I like about these games is that it's just a different pacing from, again, those big open world adventures or those big kind of enthralled stories where you got to collect everything and you got to unlock all these different secrets. So you could just play through this, smash a few things, and get on to the next story without feeling like you're having to invest yourself in some deep emotional story. Which sometimes it's nice to just kind of take a break from things like that while still appreciating great graphics in front of you and just really playing different kind of approach in your strategy depending on what you're into. If you want to collect everything or if you just want to move on to the next map. Have you guys played it? James, did you play Ratchet and Clank? I don't know if you got to that game yet.
Yeah, no, I played it when it released, and I agree. It's good. It's a casual. I think it's more casual, but the graphics are really good in this movie. Or game, sorry.
It is.
And a lot of people have described it as kind of like almost like watching like a Pixar film, and I agree. Which is funny because I mean a lot of PS5 stuff is just not optimized the right way. So, but this game does a really good job of finding the good balance between the two.
Yeah, it does look like a Pixar film. Like it's got that kind of animation too, like almost like it. I platinumed the game, so I got I collected everything in the whole thing. It was really good though. It had some really fun stuff that goes along with it too. It's kind of doesn't really take itself super serious. It's kind of like a fun storyline, even though there's some kind of sad parts about it. But the storyline's pretty simple, but it's doesn't hold back anything like that, and it was just really fun overall experience. I agree with everything everybody else said.
Yeah, it really is a good time if you're looking to change up the categories of games that you're playing. This would be one that's worth playing, especially if you haven't gotten to something that's you feel like has used everything the PS5 has to offer. This one is a good one too. So, yeah, another classic thing that I've been entertaining myself with is the old 1995 film Heat.
Very random.
It is very random.
Did you get it on disc? Is that why? Did you get it on disc? Is that why?
I did not. No, I saw it on an advertisement of something online, and it's like, oh, we're playing Heat, and I was like, I haven't seen that film in years. So it's an old Michael Mann film. Who, if you don't recall, he had like a good like decade and a half of solid action thrillers, like Collateral and Ollie, as just a couple of films he directed. And it's basically about a bunch of high-end thieves who are trying to rob a bank and do this like big score with the entirety of the LAPD behind him. And what's great about this film is that it stars Al Pacino as a police officer, as Lieutenant Hanna, and it has Robert De Niro and Val Kilmer as the crew, part of the crew that's trying to rob this bank. And it is just a very cool, very well choreographed, well shot, dark, seedy story of these guys who you don't get to know too much about their background, but you get to know just enough about who their characters are. And they are very vicious and brutal, but at the same time, you care about the bad guys to an extent of like who they are and what they're going through. And you don't necessarily like Al Pacino that much, but you also kind of do, because he's Al Pacino and you hate to love him. And he's, a very smart and tactile lieutenant who's trying to solve these crimes that are being committed by De Niro and his crew. And you get to see one of the most famous scenes is, if you haven't seen this film in ages, I'm not going to try to spoil it, but you should definitely see it. But there's a big robbery in the middle of the film, kind of like about the end of the 2/3 part back end of the film. And there's like a shootout that happens. And the way that it's shot, the way that they're kind of covering themselves as they're going through all these police and trying to get through to escape. It's just like one of the best scenes in any film shot, just for an action crime, bank robbery kind of heist thing. Like it's just, I think I read somewhere that it's actually used in like some SWAT teams when they're training. They show them the shot to show how like the cover and clearing that they do as they're trying to get throughout the shootout is they train them on that method because it's just such a well thought out scene. I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen this movie and you can kind of tell.
I've seen it in a long time though.
Yeah, it's been forever for me too.
I did pick up the disc on it because it's so damn cheap right now at Best Buy. By the way, but
gotta get it in 4K then.
I've wanted to rewatch it though. I just watched actually on Marco's recommendation a film for Michael Mann. His kind of like his first big movie. It's called Thief, a 1981 film. Oh, and you can tell even early on then, man. Like Michael Mann has an eye for like style too in cinematography because like Heat, I remember was always it looked like really good, especially the shots in Heat. A lot of like in the city. I recall being like pretty amazed by that. So that's definitely a movie. It's on my watch list to rewatch that one. So
I remember there being a really cool car chase scene too.
Yes.
I don't
I just remember
the
Val
movie
Kilmer
too
with that
much,
fucking
but it was really
sniper
good.
rifle, right, or something. The big ass
Yeah.
gun.
He did, yeah.
He's got that long hair.
Val Kilmer looks good. He's young. Like, he looks young in this film, even though it's 95, and he's obviously, I think the next year he played Batman or something, but
I think so.
like,
or at least
looks
2 years
young in
maybe
this
after
film.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just one of, I know we all do this every time, but you kind of go back to an old film that you hadn't seen in a while that you remember really enjoying, and like what us going back to see the Coppola films and watching like The Godfather and then really appreciating it again.
Mhm.
That was me watching this film and saying, I forgot how great this film is. And you wonder, I mean, this is almost, it's a 28-year-old film. It's almost a 30-year-old film. And you think about it and you're like, I know, right? And you think about it like how many people have actually been able to watch this and enjoy it. Like,
It's a very long movie too, I recall.
it is. And I think I want to say there's even a director's cut or extended one that's even longer. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it is quite long, but worth every minute.
They are making a sequel, I believe, to it too.
I did hear that as well. Yeah,
it's already in novel form. He wrote a novel, by the way.
Oh, I did not know that.
Michael Mann has not made a movie, I think, in like 8 years.
No, he's doing a lot of EP stuff, producing. He's doing that show, which I've only just started watching, Tokyo Vice, which is also a good HBO show in there. Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, again, I don't want to say too much because I don't want to like give you specifics and spoil it for anybody who hasn't seen it or maybe hasn't seen it in a long time. But it's definitely worth a rewatch if you have seen it, and if you haven't, it's worth a first time viewing. It's got a very famous meme that is a now famous meme of Al Pacino saying something that I don't want to say that either because you'll appreciate it after watching it, saying, "Oh, that's where that line comes from." And then finally, I've seen just recently the Super Mario Brothers movie, which I'm sure many people who are listening to this have already seen as well, and we don't need to go into too much detail, but it's a great animated film. It's definitely not tailored to adults. If anybody's looking for saying, why isn't this catering to everything that I should remember about Mario? But it's got a lot of good Easter eggs. It's Illumination. I mean, they're a great studio. The guys who made Minions and Gru and Despicable Me, like those are just beautiful films. I feel like James doesn't necessarily agree with everything that I'm saying, but I think it's a decent animated movie for kids that has some Easter eggs, and the voice acting's okay. I mean, it's not anything that was selling me that distracted me too much from the film. But I did like Jack Black as Bowser, and I thought Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong was kind of funny.
Oh, he was
just Seth Rogen.
Yeah, he was perfect for that. I didn't know he was in the movie when I saw it.
Neither did I.
And and as soon as I heard him, I was like, wow, he actually really fits the character they made out of Donkey Kong too. So yeah, it was good. I liked him.
It was a good time to watch. What did you watched it, James? What were your impressions?
I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was good. I didn't think it was bad. It's just kind of mid. And I think that's the case for all of Illumination things outside of.
Aren't you a big Despicable Me fan though?
Yeah, the first one, but then they made 5 sequels, and I think they're outside of the.
I don't even think I've seen the last one. The Rise of
third
Gru,
one,
or
and
whatever.
the 2 Minions were. I haven't seen the newest Minions one, but I haven't heard good things, and I don't think the Sing movies are particularly that good. I don't think Secret Life of Pets is particularly that good. I thought the Grinch movie was okay. Like, I watch these movies, don't get me wrong, but I don't think Illumination has still found like their. I mean, obviously the Mario thing banked in on a lot of nostalgia, so I think it was going to make money no matter what. I just don't think Illumination as a studio is good on like a long form, I guess is what I'm trying to get at. There's a lot of
very
there's a lot of things with their side where I don't know. They have a look to it all, and it's clean, it's colorful and bright. But I felt like Mario movie should have had a little bit more like adventure in it. I think they do a lot of like montages and a lot of needle drops.
I think
just unnecessary.
They put all that in the one scene near the end, essentially that kind of big action scene that they have at the end. But
it's almost like show me more of that. Like they show a thing where they're going from like the Mushroom Kingdom to the Donkey Kong Land. And it's just like a 30-second montage. Like, damn, would have really loved to see them struggle a bit more getting there. But first movie, that's fine, I guess. But I think, I mean, a lot of people have like compared it to the Sonic movies. I actually had a lot more fun watching Sonic. So
I would agree with that. I don't think it's like the Sonic movies was more fun. than this. That's why I say it is more tailored to kids. I mean, not that the Sonic films weren't either, but
Yeah.
more so here that this is supposed to be able to be palatable. I mean, I watched it with a bunch
Which
of
is a
younger
funny
kids.
statement to make
you know.
still, because it relies heavily on nostalgia, though, for like
There
a
is
lot
a
of
lot
these.
of those
There's so much
throwaway,
Easter eggs.
yeah.
They throw so many Easter eggs just to be like, remember this? And, like,
Yeah, but
member
you don't
berries.
actually need to know what those are to.
You don't, but
You know what I'm
I
saying?
think 90% of the people that went to go see this movie, or they know what it is.
But do you think that was more for the parents then, if anything, that were taking their kids, saying, "Hey guys, just so you know,
I don't
we
know.
remember
I'm not
some
gonna
of
lie,
these
guys.
things."
I fell asleep during this movie, so there's a partner.
Pulling the old Nabil.
There's a good 10 minutes. He's just back in Brooklyn. I was like, cool. I don't know how you got here, but
I
truthfully,
mean, well,
didn't change the story for me. And I
Well,
understand
I'm
Mikey's
pretty
whole
sure you
family
picked it right
fell
back
asleep.
up.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mom,
Mikey's
dad,
like,
sisters.
I'm ashamed.
Yeah.
nothing more to add to that, right?
Yep. They all fell asleep, and all the
Mikey's
kids
like,
stayed up.
Mikey did
So.
the move Simba to Mufasa. Wake up, guys! You're missing good parts. They played another random 80s song. So, yes, it was okay though. Like I said, I'm not gonna rush to see this one again. Is what I'm saying. So
Sure. Yeah.
that's all. But once again, like you said, it's not really made for me. I guess technically.
I really like the
we're
side-scrolling
okay.
parts, actually.
I've been
I don't
a
know if
viral
anybody
that
else liked
part,
it.
yeah.
Those
Which
are
one?
like my favorite parts. The
When they did
side-scrolling,
the side
like,
scrolling.
Oh
yeah.
yeah, see, but there's so few and far between. It's
Yeah.
like, okay.
I wish they had
get it.
done a couple more. Like even the training sessions could have been that way. I think it would have been better.
Yeah, and it's just like, okay, I guess. And then the Donkey Kong stuff, I didn't like Seth Rogen at all. Just so you know.
Oh no. Oh
I just thought it's funny that like Chris Pratt got so much criticism. Like Seth Rogen didn't even try to change his voice. This
no,
guy just
that was him. Yeah.
yeah. I was like, no one's shit on this guy, but okay.
Yeah.
So,
So those are some of the things that I've been watching. Mikey, what about you? What's been on your plate lately?
So I watched a couple like new movies that came out on some of the streaming services. So the first one I'll talk about here is called Ghosted on Apple TV Plus, and it's Ana de Armas and Chris Evans in like an action comedy. They meet each other on a random day. They kind of click. They spend the whole day and the whole night and some of the next day together. And Chris Evans is kind of the person that like texts somebody 20,000 times, and he's kind of like a swarmer, right? So he keeps
He's a
texting
clinger?
her, and
kind of
yeah,
a clinger, huh?
yeah. So he's texting her a bunch of times, and she's not responding. And there's a couple of things that happen there, and he finds out that she's in Europe, and he chases her down and finds out she's a spy. And it kind of just goes on from there. I don't want to like talk any more. That's kind of like the basics of what happens in the first 10 minutes or so. And it kind of goes on from there. It's an action comedy, so there is a lot of action in it, and it is. I started chuckling throughout the whole movie. I thought it was really good. Action was decent. I thought the characters were pretty well, and there's a couple twists in there. So yeah, I like the movie overall. I thought it was really good.
Is it like a reverse Night and Day, like the Tom Cruise and Cameron Diaz film, or is it better than that?
Oh, nobody remembers that fucking movie, Nabil.
That was a good movie. I like
No one
that.
remembers
I
that
remember
movie.
liking that
though.
movie, but I don't remember
Nobody
anything
fucking
about it at all.
remembers it.
Don't want to hate on Tom Cruise.
I gotta say, Mikey, you are the first person that I've actually heard that likes this movie.
Really? I thought it was good.
Yes.
And my
looks
sister and
interesting.
her fiance liked
it
it
has
too.
been
so.
slammed by a lot of like critics as like a fake. It looks fake as fuck. Apparently.
Oh, yeah, I mean, yeah,
Ana
that's
de
not
Armas
there.
and Chris Evans were not on set always at the same time, but it's like,
Oh, really?
yeah. it's
Also,
kinda funny.
I went in completely blind because I'm not watching trailers right now, so I have
Mhm.
no
I haven't seen the trailer
expectations
either,
of
but I have
any
watched the
movie.
first 5 minutes. I will say that much. And I know, yeah, Mikey's not watching trailers. He's anti-trailer right now.
Yeah.
Good for you.
So I walk
Good for
in to every single streaming service not knowing anything about the movie, and I think it really does help me like keep an open mind about movies. I go in there putting it on, saying I'm going to waste 2 hours of my life, not really waste, but have 2 hours of my life taken up here, and I'm just
Yeah.
going to enjoy whatever I see. So I think
As
that
you
kind
should.
of helps me kind of get in a position to watch a movie. So
Especially
you're
the
really-
trailers today. Yeah, they're
You're definitely
tend
the
to spoil
first
most
person
of
I've
them.
heard that's liked this movie, but it is on my watch list. Just so you know,
I
because I
liked it.
like to
I thought it was
watch.
fun.
I like to watch the movies on Apple Plus because they usually are pretty good. But And this one looks like it's up my alley. I'm not gonna lie. Who knows?
It was fun. I liked it.
Yeah, it looks like it's like I think some people take it too serious, and I genuinely like Chris Evans. So
Yeah. Reverse Night and Day. That's what I said. Sounds great. We should watch it.
I'm gonna watch it. Just text fucking Nabil. Like,
I'm gonna watch Night and Day this week, and I'll let you know. What I say.
You'll be the first person to see that movie in like 10 years. So tell us how it is.
I'm pretty sure I own it. I'll check it out.
Dust that fucking blow the dust off that one. That one's definitely not in the normal rotation.
That's on DVD, not Blu-ray, James. Sorry, they didn't make it that far.
No, it's on Blu-ray. I know it is.
Other than that,
go ahead, Mikey.
Other than that, I watched a couple of Disney Plus things. So they just released Peter Pan and Wendy not too long ago. So I checked that out. Again, it's on Disney Plus. The people I recognized was Jude Law and then Yara Shahidi from Blackish. She's the Tinkerbell.
Yeah.
So those people I recognize. There's kids I didn't recognize from anything, but I heard some people knew who they were. So they might be from something else, but I didn't recognize them.
It's because we're old, Mikey.
I think
maybe.
Wendy is from something big. Or
Yeah,
wasn't something big.
Yeah, I didn't recognize her, but it was a really good. I actually really like this movie. It's just a reimagining of Peter Pan, the classic story, right? But they did a little twist on it here. They wrote home a little like message throughout the whole thing about friendship, and I really just thought they hit a lot of like really good points and kind of just reimagined that story a little bit, and I liked what they did with it. If you're not familiar with Peter Pan, I don't know if you're under a rock or whatever, but
I don't feel like you got to go over that, bro.
Okay. Yeah, but yeah, they just reimagined it.
I didn't watch a trailer for this too. Had no fucking idea who this kid was.
Yeah, I didn't watch a trailer for this though, but it was really good.
I didn't even know there was a trailer. This kind of came out of nowhere, by the way.
Yeah, just like kind of popped in. I didn't even know they were making it.
This is one of those Disney movies that like Disney obviously probably didn't think too much of it because they released all these movies and I'm like, I didn't see one fucking trailer for this, man.
I didn't even know it was out until you had mentioned it to me, James, and said that. I was like, "Oh, this came out." When did this come out?
Me and Mikey must be here's another one. Are the only two people in the fucking world that like this movie. I liked it too, by the way. This is another one that got completely fucking trashed by viewers and critics alike. So I like David Lowery, the director. He's done some weird shit though. Like he did The Green Knight 2 years ago, which I liked a lot. I think that was more universally kind of accepted. He also did like 2016 Pete's Dragon, which I thought was actually a good movie. Once again, a movie that nobody saw.
I didn't watch it.
Along there with Night and Day. So, so he shoots like they're pretty art. This is a pretty artsy film, I would say, Mike. I don't know if you agree with that or not. Like,
no, I do. Yeah, definitely.
It's a little dark, like color saturation wise. It's not a very pretty movie, I would say.
Yeah, almost opposite of Green Knight, though, right?
Which is but once again, there are good looking scenes in this movie, but and also I will say, want to stand out. Jim Gaffigan plays Shmi, and I thought he was really funny, by the way. Randomly in there,
I didn't know he was in this film.
What the fuck is Jim Gaffigan doing here? What a silly goose!
He did it for his kids.
I would say, Mikey, I don't know if you agree or not, but like Jude Law was like a scene stealer every time. It looks like he had a blast like filming this, and I like the backstory they gave to Captain Hook in this movie quite a bit.
Yeah, the changes they made from the story I know were really clever, and I just really like what they did. I don't know how people could not like.
I like the message. No, I think it's maybe people were just expecting one thing, get something else. I don't know. I actually agree with you, Mikey. I really enjoyed it. I thought they could have shown Neverland a little more. That's my
it was a little quick, and it's mostly on a boat.
Just like it's just like an island. Like they don't really even they show you like one quick shot of where the Lost Boys are. Like here they stay, and now we're back to the other guys. Don't worry about it, you know. But yeah, it's mostly on like the ship and shit. But I liked it. I didn't think it overstayed its welcome. I think it's leagues better than like Pinocchio. So
wait, which Pinocchio?
The one that came out on Disney Plus.
Oh, okay,
Disney one.
No, I would agree on that one. Yeah,
but I mean, even fucking Night and Day is better than that movie. So. At this point, so.
He has no idea, guys. He hasn't seen the film in over a decade.
Next pod. Well, guys, we're going to review Night and Day as a special.
I don't know why I'm defending the film. I also haven't seen it in over a decade.
Like, do you really recall this, Nabil? You're saying it like you're very fucking like, I know, bro. Dude, that movie came out 13 years ago, dude. It came out in 2010. Just to let you know.
Last time we all saw it.
Probably, man.
Definitely
James
what I saw
Mangold
it.
fucking directed that, which is insane. Because he's gone off to like he's doing the new fucking Indiana Jones, but like just saying. Sorry, Mikey. You also saw some other stuff on Disney Plus, right?
Yeah, I've been watching the Star Wars Visions, or I watched, I should say. I'm done with the season
Season
here
2?
that they just released. Yeah, so I've seen season 1 as well, but yeah, season 2 just came out last week I think it was. So
Oh yeah, on Star Wars Day, May the 4th.
yeah. So 4 days ago, 5 days ago, something like
Mhm.
that. There's 9 episodes, I think,
Yeah.
and it's just an anthology. If you don't know what Visions are, it's an anthology of animated shorts based in the Star Wars universe. So they're not canon stories. They're kind of reimaginings or like different people's point of views and different things that happen. They're just things that happen in the Star Wars universe that not necessarily happened in the movies. They're just like alternate stuff, alternate universe kind of things. But I really liked this season. They did a lot of there was a lot of different animation styles. There was a lot of different like takes on things, and I feel like they did a lot of children or that had like force powers. So it could be like
Mhm.
leading into other stuff or kind of what the movies might be in the future here, hopefully at least. So, but I really liked almost every single episode. I think my least favorite was the first episode, and it's just because it was like just kind of basic, but it was still pretty decent. It was still pretty good. There's a couple in there that are like really good. And so if you like animation and you like Star Wars, I would watch both seasons. I thought both seasons were pretty good.
I agree. I saw it too, Mikey. Season 1 really focused more on anime the whole time. This
Mhm.
one, they got a lot of different studios, and there are still some anime in there. Just 1 or 2 episodes, I think. But yeah, I liked it a lot, man. There's a lot of stop motion kind of esque episodes in this one, and even like Aardman gets an episode. Who's famous for like Wallace and Gromit and stuff, and I thought it was great, man. So
Yeah, really enjoyed it. Did you watch it, Nabil?
I've seen the first 4 episodes up to the Aardman episode, so yeah, that's as far as I've gotten so far. But I agree. Like, I like seeing the different animation studios. Like James said, the first one was all kind of anime houses, and this one's other global animation houses. So it's good to just get their take on it and see their style visualizing some version of Star Wars, some offbeat story. So I
yeah, I
think
was
it's a great
saying
thing they created.
there's like even like an Indian episode, which is crazy, you know,
Is there?
based
Yeah.
out of India, and it's like
Yeah,
a lot of these.
7.
Yeah, a lot of these. I feel like a lot of these episodes could be expanded to something even more. So that's like maybe this proves to them that hey, we can handle these things too. Because Star Wars is sometimes they they don't let a lot of people touch it, but when they do let people touch it, sometimes it doesn't come out the greatest. But I think these are pretty solid, man. So
Yeah, I don't think there was a, a bad episode the whole time.
no,
All 9 episodes were pretty good. There was some I liked better than others, but even the quote unquote bad ones were pretty good. So definitely, it's a definite watch for anybody like Star Wars.
Can never say no to just more lore, more thoughts of expanding that universe.
all right.
But yeah, that's
Anything?
it for me.
Yeah, and I was gonna say anything else, Mike. That's cool. With me then, I saw a few things. We'll talk about 3 movies I saw. One of them actually I saw with Mikey, but I'll talk about that in a moment. I want to talk about a movie called Martin, a 1976 film. This is a George A. Romero film that was seemingly lost actually for years until they recently found a a copy of this movie in someone's like garage, one of those kind of things. It's hard as fuck to find this movie. It's about like I won't get into what it's about. Basically, they did this, and they over in the UK they did a restoration. Second Sight Films, who also recently released like a Texas Chainsaw 4K disc, did a 4K disc of this Martin movie. I ordered this back in actually December, and finally got it about 2 weeks ago. So it just got delayed so many times. I have no idea. I'm assuming just them cleaning it up and getting it ready for home release, something like that. But the movie is about a guy that is kind of a serial killer, but he also might be a vampire. That's kind of the gist of the story.
Oh,
And he's
interesting.
and he's dealing with everyday life, and then he finds someone that he kind of falls in love with, and he thinks that hey, maybe I don't have to do this anymore, and blah blah blah. Long story short, so I waited like 5 months to get this movie, right? 5 or 6 months. I've known about the release. They announced it like 2 years ago. And truthfully, I did not think this movie was that good. So This was very disappointing, man. I was struggling to stay awake during this goddamn movie, man. I was like, fuck, I own it too. So it is just so, I don't know. I talked about this before. I've watched these other George A. Romero films. So like, yeah, you guys know I love like Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead. Even Day of the Dead's okay. I think it's okay. I don't think it's, some people really love Day of the Dead, and I don't think his early stuff does it for me. A lot of them feel like student films, I guess, still to me. Like the pacing's really slow. You can tell it's only shot at like friends' houses and shit. Because there's like, I don't know, like before this, there's like Season of the Witch and the Crazies, and I didn't think those were like good at all. Like they're, it's just something about them. It's like the pacing, really. I think the pacing is not quite there. Like this is his fifth movie, I think, and he didn't make Dawn of the Dead yet, and that's where I think he really like got it down. Because like, let's face it, Night of the Living Dead is really like a student film. It just got really popular, blew up because people were like, "Oh shit, it's pretty good." And I think Dawn of the Dead is where it's like his peak. Truthfully, I mean that's kind of fucked up, but I mean I think that's one of the greatest horror films ever released. So I'm still giving a lot of praise on it. It's just that this film itself just reeks of like that late 70s kind of horror where it's just like, what the fuck is this? That's what I'm just trying to get at. If that makes sense.
Did it have anything that made you feel like, oh, like here's a cult aspect of there's a cult aspect of the film?
No, not at all, because fucking nobody's seen this movie in years, dude. Hard as fuck to find this movie, dude. They don't even, I mean, the fact I had to import it, like it's still not even out here. Like the rights for this movie are tied up in the US. I don't think it's ever going to get released out here. So I had to import it, which it wasn't that expensive, to tell you the truth. If you go through Zavi.com, you can get a lot of import 4Ks. A lot of 4Ks, like 98% of them are all region free too. So even if it says region B on it, you can watch them still. I have a bunch of even Australian Blu-rays, brother, I can play on.
That's where you got Super Mario Brothers, right?
Yeah, I have Super Mario Brothers 93, and then I have like a movie called Chopper. Long story short, yeah, disappointed. I waited this long. I was like waiting for the fucking person to drop it off in the mail too. This is one of those like, oh, it's gonna be here today. Awesome.
Highly anticipated.
Dude, all right. And then I watched it, I was like, fuck. So I was like, how fucking dude, I knew it like halfway through a movie. I was like, I don't think it's getting any better than this. I was like, I think this is it.
Honestly, when you first started talking about it, I got super interested. Like, oh, he's a half serial killer, half vampire kind of guy. Like,
it sounds like it would be, but then fuck, man, I don't know.
Maybe I'll borrow it from you and check it out.
Yeah, if you want to borrow, like I said, Mario, if you want to borrow it, it's all yours, man. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend it. It just didn't do it for me. But once again, I think if maybe you are a fan of like that early to late all the 70s horror, I guess, maybe
horror almost.
Kind of, yeah. I would say that student film-ish. Maybe you want to see some early Romero stuff, and I mean the selling point is probably that it's technically like a lost film, right? That's just been rediscovered. So maybe that would maybe, because if you made it through Romero films before, like to find a copy of this back in the day, it was kind of hard to do, and they were all really shitty quality. So this is the best this film has ever looked. Second, me and Mikey went. Regal has this thing now because I can finally go to him because the podcast we skipped that week, so like it triggers correctly now for us to see these like mystery movies they do on certain Mondays of the month.
Interesting.
And you get to see a movie. Basically, it's like $5 to go see it. If you have unlimited, it's technically free, and you get to see a movie before it's released. The whole catch is they don't actually tell you what the movie is. We found a loophole though. We live in the Pacific West Side here, so it's the same movie on the East Coast. So the East Coast usually reveals it. I mean, they do reveal it. There's a Reddit thread and everything, and Twitter, so we can find out 3 hours prior like what the movie's going to be. This week's one. So just as some context, before we got to see Sisu early, which wasn't bad. And then this Monday one was the new Robert Rodriguez directed film with Ben Affleck, Hypnotic.
Oh, that's how you saw this movie. Okay.
So we saw Hypnotic. We said, fuck it. I actually want to go see that. So we went and saw the movie. It's roughly about a man that is... How can I say this well? I'm not going to spoil it, but it's a man that is on the case of trying to find this man that basically can use hypnotism to control other people, and this guy might be connected with like his daughter's gone missing and presumed dead kind of thing, but they never found a body, so like she could be connected somehow. I mean, that's all I'll say. It's so much different than that, really, overall plot wise. But Mikey was basically not around the whole time during this film because this man knocked out pretty early on.
I could not stay awake on this film. Like, it didn't catch my attention in the beginning. I was tired that day anyways. And I tried as much as I could to stay awake.
I kept looking over
I
and I was
could not.
That's sad.
Yeah, no, it was.
I will say I'll say this much: the first 10 minutes, I actually was intrigued because that's very much a lot of what you see in the trailer for this movie. I will say this much: the trailer movie does not really reveal what this movie is really about, which is kind of first, I guess. Yeah, which is it's pretty vague. But also, I think some telltale signs are like before the movie started, like Robert Rodriguez has like an intro where he's just talking. He's like, "Please don't ruin the movie and like don't reveal the twists and blah blah." I'm like, God damn, dude, I don't think I'm even gonna tell people to see this movie. Like, don't relax. Jesus Christ, like secret safe with me. But yeah, it wasn't good, man. It is so. It does a lot of like telling, not showing, if that makes sense. There's a lot of there's times when characters would just start like explaining shit that like no one in their right mind in any real situation would ever explain. Like, why the fuck would you say that to me? Like, because I have to get the plot moving in this film kind of feel to it. It has the dumbest twist too, I think. I don't know. Mikey, I don't know if you were awake for like to fully feature with that, but when they get into the twist to this movie, it goes like full speed into it without like, we're not looking back, like fuck it, this is it. And I was just like, yo, man, can we get a little more context on how the fuck this all works? And it's, I don't know. It's not good, is what I'm getting at. I don't know if Mikey, I'm assuming, yeah, I mean, from the 10 minutes.
He's like, I don't even remember the film. So
Mikey's like, shit, man, Netflix in this movie?
Right, from what I saw, obviously I didn't like it because I was falling asleep. So, but yeah, I mean, I mean, if I say anything more than what you said, it's going to ruin the movie.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying. I was tiptoeing. Yeah. I don't know if you can tell, but it's also not very long, by the way, which is shocking.
Hour and a half, right? I think it was
like
hour and a half?
maybe an hour and a half, like with credits with an hour and a half. So the fact that Mikey couldn't even stay awake for like an hour 20, 25, like, you know, take it, you know.
And it wasn't like a late movie. It started like what, 7?
Yeah. We got out at like 8:35. I was like, oh shit. Mikey's like, fuck, man. I don't think Robert Rodriguez is a good director. So yeah, it's not good. It actually dropped. It's actually officially coming out at the end of this week. So, and it's, I don't know. I wouldn't recommend this one. But
does it have any of his signature traits, like any of that kind of grungy horror, or not horror, but you know, kind of grunge action kind of stuff that is, or
they are in Mexico? It sounds like
a different kind of film.
Point, I guess. I don't want to ruin any more of that. Like they're in Mexico, kind of.
But it doesn't have like that same feel as some of his other.
Definitely not. If you didn't tell me Robert Rodriguez directed this, I would have never known. There's no feel to it. Like,
because he's got a unique style. He's like Quentin Tarantino. Like he's got a flair, you know.
Yeah, I mean, what do they call it? The Mexico trilogy. I watched them all last year.
Those are great.
Those all have like a style and a flair to them, and these are like lifeless, man.
Mm-hmm.
So Mikey's like,
I think you were saying too, like Ben Affleck, like just his like facial expressions.
Dude,
like,
he looks so fucking annoyed to be in this movie. By the way, like he genuinely looks the whole time like, fuck, what are we doing today? Like I've never seen someone sleep through a fucking a performance like this, man. Like he just looks like he's like annoyed. He's like, fuck, let's just wrap this up already. Why did I sign on for this shit? That's what it looks like, at least. Once again, probably bashing it a little too hard, but no, it was.
He's doing his buddy a solid.
Fuck, it was bad.
Maybe he was going through his feels. That was his downturn for a little bit.
It's got to be something, man. I will end this all on a good note, though. I did see a Korean film called I Saw the Devil. This is a movie that came out in 2010. This is this was recommended to me like a while back, but I think maybe because of like the length of the film, I was a little put off by like jumping into it because it's like a 2.5 hour film. A lot of Korean films are. I find that they're kind of longer in length, but they also, you know, are pretty good from what I've seen as well. But this movie was fantastic. This was like nonstop, like from the get-go, like a movie that it's shot beautifully. The story is great. It's a mystery thriller, technically.
My kind of film, it sounds like already.
Yeah, I recommend it. Highly recommend you guys check this one out. If you guys, it's streaming on Peacock. I picked up a Blu-ray of it actually on from the thrift store. So I was like, fuck it, must be a sign to go watch this movie finally. So it's in like a term without ruining what it is. Basically, a serial killer named Kyung Chul, played by Choi Ming Sink, is like he's killing people, and he kills the pregnant fiance of basically a government agent. His name is Soo Hyun, played by Lee Byung Hun, and that agent basically, the film is about him trying to find this guy and like enact revenge on him basically for what he did to him, and ultimately kind of like ruining his life, right? It's pretty horrific. There are some of the goriest scenes I've ever seen in my life in this movie. That are like horrifying. Just to say, like, it's literally like I know it's hard to put, like, yeah, go see it now. I can see why people, man, it's just directed so well. The serial killer is like the epitome of evil, and it's just like sick in the head, and it's just like disgusting. And there are times in this film where like you don't think they're going to show you something, and then they're like, nope, you're going to see it. You're like, holy shit. So it is just like, then like I said, it's 2.5 hours long, but the pacing is so well done. It doesn't even feel like it's 2.5 hours. It's like, oh shit, this is it, So I highly recommend it. It's streaming on Peacock. If you are at all interested in this one, this is the movie that I would say, you saw 2 shitty ones, and this is the one, like, this is a definite like win in my book. So I would recommend it.
Something to check out then. I'll be interested to watch it.
I would say check it out.
A good one. I'll try to watch it not dubbed.
Oh yeah, I did hear the dub of it, and it is fucking terrible for this movie. It does not portray like the people in panic mode. It's like, hey guys, what's going on? I'm like, oh no, it sounds scary.
Oh, scary. Please don't hurt me.
Please, no. Who's the serial killer? But yeah, no, if you guys have time, definitely check this one out. It will stick with you, I think. So it's one of those kind of films.
Yeah, you've been talking about this one for a lot.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I was talking about it.
Yeah.
A bit, just because I was like amazed by it. I'm like, holy shit, this is good, man. So I've been watching more foreign films lately, and it's this one's a winner, man. All right, let's move on then to our main review of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
I'm gonna tell you something. I'm Star-Lord. I formed the Guardians. Met a girl, fell in love. That girl died, but then she came back. Came back a total dick.
Oh, please. He left out some important information, but that is the gist of it.
I get the same old dreams, same time every night. Fall to the ground and I wake up.
My sacred mission is to create the perfect society.
He didn't want to make things perfect. He just hated things the way they are.
I want you all to know that I'm grateful to fight beside my friends.
Incinerate them.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. It's currently sitting at an 80% on Rotten Tomatoes. Synopsis is still reeling from the loss of Gamora. Peter Quill rallies his team to defend the universe and one of their own. A mission that could mean the end of the Guardians, if not successful. This is once again directed by James Gunn, who did the original Guardians of the Galaxy in 2014, as well as Volume 2 in 2017. He also did the DC film, The Suicide Squad, in 2021. It's also written by James Gunn and was initially released in theaters on May 5th, and it's currently still out there. This film stars a big returning cast with Chris Pratt coming back as Peter Quill, aka Star-Lord, Zoe Saldana as Gamora, Dave Bautista as Drax the Destroyer, Karen Gillan as Nebula, Palm Clementif as Mantis. Vin Diesel comes back as Groot, as well as Bradley Cooper as Rocket. We also have Sean Gunn coming in as Craiglin Obfonteri, and Chuck Woody Wooji as the High Evolutionary. Will Poulter comes in as Adam Warlock. Elizabeth Debicki as Aisha. Maria Bakalova as Cosmo, the space dog, and a nice little appearance by Sylvester Stallone returning as Stakar Ogard. So a good big cast of characters in this film, very colorful characters here. I'm going to start with our guest this week and ask Mikey, what were your thoughts on the overall film?
I actually really enjoyed this one. I can say this pretty easily and say in the last 2 years I haven't liked a lot of Marvel films. This was the first one that I was like, I would see this again in the theaters and not care. Like, I would never go to any of the other ones again in the theater. This is the first one I'm like, okay, let's do this. And I want to go see it again. I don't know if I'm going to I have a trip coming up, so I don't know if I'm going to get to, but I would definitely see this again in the theater. I thought it was really good. I enjoyed the story. Thought it was acted really well, actually. And the CG looked absolutely amazing, in my opinion. So I liked almost everything about this movie. There's a couple things I thought was a little bit weaker, but I still like them. But just overall, I just liked most of the stuff that happened in this movie. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I know we're going to talk a little bit more about it later on in our review, but I feel like the Guardians of the Galaxy's franchise as a whole kind of is a carved out standout from the rest of the Marvel MCU. Like the whole thing. Like they obviously fit in with it, but they're far enough out in the universe where they don't necessarily have to be beholden to everything else that the MCU is trying to put in your face, and that kind of gives them that little unique aspect from everybody else, from all the other franchises. Yeah. How about you, James? What were your thoughts on the film?
Well, you guys know me and Marvel, we're having a rocky relationship lately the last couple of years. I've just gotten so burned out of this shit. And I think, truly the last one I really thought was like crazy good was Spider-Man No Way Home. And which is one of the Sony produced ones, which is fucking crazy.
Yeah, I know, right? Who would have thought we'd ever say that?
Oh my god, I love the Venom films. Oh, you guys know now my secret. No, I really like this, man. This was a really good, I know like James Gunn approached it with like a 3-episode kind of thing, or like a trilogy, and it's character arcs because everyone's different from the first one, and I really felt that here, and I thought it was a good story. I liked the characters. It was a lot of fun. It felt like it did. I mean, a lot of people are saying like, hey, this feels like the Marvel films before Endgame, and yeah, this actually does feel like a pre-Endgame film because most of the ones afterwards is just not good.
We don't know where they're going with those films. Yeah,
I still don't know what they're doing anymore. Yeah, so like Ant-Man, for instance, I thought was terrible. I think that was terrible. And a lot of the shows, it's funny, like Rotten Tomatoes just released something like yesterday showing like all the releases, and like every year normally was just like maybe 2 to 3 releases of Marvel things, and then like 2021 and 2022 have like 12 releases because of the shows and shit. Like, dude, it's too much Marvel shit. Like, slow down, guys. Like, fuck. Spread the shit out a little more. I get it. Some of them are TV shows and such, but like, whew. But
they got
coming back to Guardians,
streaming service now, right? So,
which was nice to see. Like on this one, like nobody popped up at the end. Like, make sure to stream this on Disney Plus for a discount. So, just like technically, end of Ant-Man, they're like, guess what? The story continues if you pay a subscription. But yeah, I liked it a lot. I thought the villain was really cool in this one. The plot with Rocket just worked. Got me in the feels. So yeah, I thought this was great, man.
It's funny you say that though, because I agree with both of you guys. Like, I think the film was actually stellar, but the box office wasn't as strong for this film in the opening weekend, at least compared to, in fact, not even compared to anything. Overall, I think it's one of the weakest openings for a Marvel film in recent history.
It's
I don't know
how far back you're looking at it. It's got to be like superhero fatigue. It's happening,
which is unfortunate because just from what you guys just talked about. Now, this film did feel like a pre Endgame Marvel film. Like it was.
It feels like
enjoyable.
The good days. good.
It was. It gave me the feels. And, there's a lot that happens that we're going to talk about in this movie, but I also feel like these Guardians of the Galaxy characters, the whole crew in this film, is more true to form than what we got to see when they were all together with Infinity War Endgame. Like, Peter Quill was way more like smarter. He was more of a tactician. I mean, there's a scene where he's like setting up these force field things. I don't know exactly what he was doing, like doing something with taking down shields, but he did it so like he knew what he was doing while also talking shit about whatever he was talking shit about, like effortlessly. Yeah. Whereas in the last Marvel Avenger films, he was like kind of the comic relief, like the stupid emotional guy, which he had his reasons, for what he was going through, but at the same time wasn't the same.
Way, which is funny.
Yeah. It's like not the same Peter Quill, and I liked that. And I'm assuming it's more James Gunn because he's, fleshing out these characters way more. But I enjoyed just seeing them back as a crew. In fact, I would have liked to see more of Rocket. He was a central part in the film in a way, but I liked when he was really a part of the film near the latter half of it, that I got to see more of him there. But I kind of started missing him because of his quips and how funny he was during the middle and beginning parts of the movie. That was so it was nice to kind of see everybody together that way. But yeah, I think I agree with all of you guys. I thought the film was quite enjoyable and definitely worth a watch again if I can watch it again. I can't wait to see it on streaming. At the very least, I'll watch it on streaming again when it gets released on there in the inevitable 30 days or so.
I think me and Mikey talked about it. I think they're spreading it. I think they're spread out a little more now. It's not 30 days or 40 days anymore. I think it's 60.
Are they pushing back up? I did just see a film that we just reviewed. I'm trying to remember.
Evil Dead comes out tomorrow.
Evil Dead, yeah, that's already coming out, and I'm like, wow, that seemed like it just was no time.
But hey, very successful, so they ain't got no problems.
Exactly. So now that the crew's all back and we have all these fun returning characters, I touched on it a little bit, but James, what did you think about all of the Guardians being together again, including the reintroduction of Gamora? What were your thoughts on all the leads?
I liked him. The leads worked for me. Peter's. By the way, did you guys see that? Like the time possibility from like the second movie to this one is like 12 years or something like that. Since like
with the 5-year time jump and then the Thor thing. That makes sense.
It's roughly like 12 years since that of like the second movie, which is kind of crazy. I was like, I would have liked to see a little more between, but whatever. Yeah, Peter's cool. I think Chris Pratt really nails this role, especially in this one. He's definitely the leader, and it's not questioned. I liked everyone's like family like feel to this all, if that makes sense. Like how everybody's like, even like Nebula has changed so much. Like Karen Gillan's character, like she used to be like she was hunting him down in the fucking first.
She's a bad guy in like the last two films, essentially.
And then this one, she's like, she even says something like, I don't think it's a spoiler, but like something about family too at one point. It's just like, like accepted, like, no, this is our family. Like, why would you do that? Like, okay, cool. Everyone's like fucking cool. So I liked everybody in this movie, man. Mantis is more of like her and Drax are like the fucking kind of continuing off of. You guys saw the holiday special, I'm assuming. Kind of how they did stuff there, where they're kind of like the comedic relief too, and that worked this time around for me. So I thought everyone did great, man. Like lead wise on the protagonist side, at least. So
yeah, I think the dynamics were very solid and fleshed out. We get to really see the bonding between the two characters, like Drax and Mantis together, working off of each other, and their Mantis manipulating him in some way and being honest. Yeah. There's like very funny scenes between them. Yeah, definitely some good interactions there. I do like the fact that I think it was probably a blessing for James Gunn. The plot line with Thor, being with them, was resolved in Thor Ragnarok.
He said he was gonna write him off anyways because he's like he didn't want him on the thing. So.
Right. So I'm glad that he didn't have to try to address that. That was already sorted out. They can kind of continue on.
He was like, what a fucking mess of a movie that Thor was, huh?
What am I supposed to do with this?
Sorry.
What about you, Mikey? How did you feel the dynamics were? Any kind of standout characters for you in this movie?
Well, I kind of echo what you guys said already, but I just feel like I didn't know there was a time jump. It makes sense now that you guys started talking about it, but knowing that, it actually makes more sense because everybody seems like they're just, I mean, kind of what you guys said. They're family, right? But they all have like their own roles. They're kind of comfortable in them. It seems
Been
like
here a while, I think.
they kind of know everybody and what they're doing daily. They're like, oh, this again. When he's drunk, it's kind of like, oh, it's like a
Because this is
daily
roughly
event kind
what,
of thing, right?
like a year or two after Endgame, maybe.
Yeah, it sounds
I
about
would
right.
think it's even a little longer, maybe, right?
I'm not sure if they know or not. I don't know. Who knows? Who fucking knows?
I think we're caught up to the time at this point because I think it's now 2023, 2024.
I'm hearing that too, but I don't fucking. Who knows? Then they're gonna just wreck on it. Sorry, Mikey.
Oh, no, that's fine. I just echo what you guys said already here. It's just everything seems kind of amped up. They all seem like a family, and they kind of meshed really well together. I thought this one, I mean, just everybody in general, the movie as a whole was a little bit more serious than the other ones. And that being said, it still has like its quips and comedy that kind of rolls in at like the perfect timing. It just everything seemed to just gel well with the main people in the movie. So
Speaking of the kind of darker elements of it, we get to see a bit of Rocket's origin story. I think he's the one character that we didn't get a chance to in the other films to really understand what he'd been through. What were your thoughts about how that was handled? I know a lot of people have called out like the animal cruelty part of it. Like if I don't know who's really into animal cruelty, but I guess if you're very sensitive to that, like it gets a bit intense. But how did you feel they portrayed that, and like what were your feelings towards just his origin story and how that played into the movie?
I thought they really did a really good job. I love the flashback scenes for Rocket. It just kind of built him as a character because we see him like building gadgets and stuff, but you never really see like the emotional side of him, and it's kind of because of his past, and he kind of regains that in this movie a little bit. So seeing like where he came from and his friends and that aspect of everything kind of just really like kind of brings it home a little bit, and kind of like you see his struggle and like he has hope and then it gets taken away, and so he has another group of friends that kind of like the guardians, right? That's like his previous friends group, right? So you get to kind of see what happens to them and like why Rocket is Rocket, and it really does bring a sense of why he is who he is right now. And like in the first two movies, I feel like it was like a perfect intro to the first two movies and like how he is that way. And I feel like he's kind of changed in the third movie, and so you kind of see both aspects of Rocket at the same time. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but
Yeah, no, totally. What about you, James? Did you feel like the outcome of Rocket's story gave him more depth? Did you feel that really was kind of an earned ending for him as he went through to the film, or did you think that it was like, yeah, it was nice to have, but we could we could have just not had it?
No, I think it's necessary. I think that's the heart of this movie is this story, his origin story, especially God when they're like naming each other. I was like, oh my God,
Yeah, sad.
because I have big teeth. I was like, fuck. That goddamn walrus. Shut up. And then God, his friendship with the fucking otter Lila, and it's like, God damn, this is,
Yeah, his home.
obviously, I mean, it's a spoiler, but not really. I mean, you don't see these three in any other movie, right? So, I mean, you can guess what happens. But no, it's definitely like, it's just that it shows, I mean, it goes with like the high evolutionary, right? Like he's technically like thinks on his own and that gets him in trouble, but then like Mikey said, they have thoughts of like, oh, we're gonna be able to live in this new world that he's made for us and all these things, and then like, he gets it ripped apart from him, like, oh, and it shows you, especially like the way he escapes and the events that transpire, which I mean, we'll wait for the spoilers to go over that. Like, it really shows you why he's kind of hardened, by the time that we see
Yeah.
him, and he's obviously gone through things like God, I would have even liked to see how he kind of maybe how he met Groot. That would have been kind of cool.
I was
Like,
feeling the same. Like leading
Yeah.
up to just that part would have been nice. Yeah.
yeah,
That's
like
on Disney Plus next year.
Yeah, I know. Wait for the Rocket and Groot sideshow. It's coming. And it's funny that I did like how they kind of are showing that he like already was mispronouncing words. He has kind of
Yeah.
that Brooklyn-esque accent, and he's like kind of using slang, and the fucking evolutionary doesn't like that shit. He's like, what the fuck? And man, there's like I go over spoilers, but there's just seeing the little baby. I mean, it's all CG, which is fucking crazy. Like, there's no
It
real
looks
animals.
real, man. It looked really good.
Well,
You
this
can
is where
definitely
they
tell-
spent the money
Yeah,
here,
you can
and
tell
actually
they took that
yeah.
criticism from like She-Hulk, and they're like, "Fuck, we got to make sure that some of these look fucking decent." So this is probably the best looking Marvel CG film in like the last 3 years. I'm not gonna lie. So like hands down.
I mean, since the Endgame and Infinity War sagas,
probably because I mean they obviously the budget on those were insane. But
I mean, the dog was full CG. I didn't even know that. I thought it was a dog.
Was he full?
Yeah.
I don't know. I saw James
you
got a
not
little
know
celebrity
that?
hangout. No, it was a mix. He said yes and no.
I asked. No,
He said
it's yes. The dog is not real at all. No, he said no. Yes, no. The dog is not real, and yes, it's fully CG.
Ah, that's what he said. Okay. Well, there you go. See,
I had like 70,000 views on that fucking thing. Yeah, James Gunn answered my question, which is
James Ring, bona fide celebrity, right here representing MPP. There we go.
I was like, thanks a lot, James Gunn. Go look for your Superman movie. Oh! I was like, hopefully. So, no. So, yeah, even Cosmo, by the way, I liked as a side thing, just to let you know, as a character. She is in the holiday special, obviously, so not the first time we've seen her fully talking and stuff like that. But yeah, she's a cool little character. So, yeah.
She's a good dog.
Yeah, she's a good dog.
I loved that part. Just like that whole thing that was going around the whole movie.
Yeah.
It was great.
Because she's, at the end of the day, still a dog, and it's hilarious.
She's like, what do you mean by that?
Speaking of characters here, you touch a little bit on High Evolutionary, and I want to say he was a compelling villain. He's definitely... I like the fact that he was in his own thing. You know, this whole Thanos thing happened. You've got this multiverse going on as the overarching main plot of the movie with Kang the Conqueror and everything. But then you have this High Evolutionary guy who's kind of in talking about he's in his own world, creating his own worlds, creating his own societies, just as an aside from everybody else. And it kind of is interesting to see him just kind of be inserted in, because he wouldn't have really been related to anything that's been going on in the greater world, because he's focused on his own thing. So I like how they introduced that, because it wasn't just like, well, where the hell have you guys been this whole time? You know, why didn't you deal with this before? Like, no, he's not out to rule the galaxy. He wants to create his own society of people the way he wants to do it. Yeah, his thought is perfect society. I thought it was very compelling, very evil. And I kind of really like how Chuck Woody really kind of brought his character to a much more demented and fearful state of being. Like everybody was scared of him that was around him, but at the same time, like the Guardians was like, well, he's just another bad dude trying to do some stupid thing that we could care less about. We just want to save our friend, kind of thing. James, what was your take on the High Evolutionary? I don't know if you're familiar with him at all in the comics, or if you read much about him, but did you like what you saw on screen, or did you feel like he was just kind of a one-note villain?
No, I liked him a lot, actually. Never heard of him before. And truthfully, I don't feel like they showed him a lot in the fucking trailers. I don't know.
Which I think is a good thing. We didn't get to have to see too much of him.
Is that just me?
Which trailers?
I think Chuck Woody is really good, too. I don't know if you guys watched the Peacemaker TV show, but he's in that. And I think he's really good in that show. So he has a little bit of a strange role by the end of that whole season. But James Gunn works a lot with people that he works a lot with, like the same actors and actresses, and this is like he had such a good time working with that. With him on Peacemaker, that he brought him for this one, and I think it's good. Now more people are exposed to him. I think the High Evolutionary might be one of the best villains Marvel's had since fucking Loki. So I thought he was really good. He's so fucking evil. There's not like, at least with Loki, you can be like, oh, I kind of like Loki because he's a smart ass. But with this guy, I'm like, dude, this guy fucking sucks. Yeah. At least that's how I saw it. Like he does some shit that is like, I'll talk about spoilers too, but it's like, what the fuck, man? Like, dude, stop.
But no remorse.
Stop being so
he's
mean.
Evil. He just doesn't give a fuck about no one. He's just textbook comic book villain, but at the same time menacing enough, like you should be worried about him. Like you also don't just fuck with him.
I think his look is cool too. That stretched like face mask
Stretched
thing,
that face.
We'll talk about. Looks so fucking real too, by the way. I kept thinking every time they showed it, I was
trying to figure out how they did it. Yeah.
How'd they do this? I'm like, yeah, it's obviously some really good fucking makeup. Like, I'm like, damn, makeup crew did fucking amazing. And it is funny. He's like, you RoboCop face, and I was like, yeah, it looks like fucking
That's what it
RoboCop.
was. That's what I thought. Yeah.
I was like, damn, he got it. I was like, what looks like this? Like, I know this look. I was like, shit, he's right. It's Murphy's face. So, dude, he's so evil. He's just he's not likable at all, but maybe that's why he's so good at the role. And he just does stuff where I'm like, damn, that's fucked up. And I was like, so especially Nabil, like with your animal cruelty thing. I mean, yeah, like, you know, yikes. So, yeah, I liked it.
How about you, Mike? Any familiarity with the High Evolutionary from your end, or anything that really stood out for you for him?
No, I haven't seen him before, or like I didn't even know who he was until we saw him on screen here. So no real past on it. And when I was reading the outline here, I was like, I just really didn't like this character. But then I was like, okay, well that's kind of the point, right?
Yeah,
I didn't like him because he's like evil and shit, right? So yeah, no, I did end up liking him. Like just thinking about that, like I hated him, but that's why I like him, right? That's why I like him as a character. I actually wish, I mean, because like the Rocket flashbacks are actually kind of his story as well, right? You kind of get to know him through the flashbacks as well.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Right. So it's kind of like a dual purpose flashback, right? I wish that was one of the things I mentioned earlier here. I wish they had done a little bit more. I wish they had done a little bit more on him. And kind of, I mean, he gets powers somehow. Like he didn't have them before.
I think it's the suit that he's wearing.
It's a suit, yeah.
So I didn't catch that if that's what they. I didn't. If they.
Which we can talk about in spoilers.
Yeah.
Why he has that.
So yeah, I didn't know too much about him, but I wanted to know more about him. That was one of the things that I kind of wanted to know more about. But I did like what they put on the screen here in terms of his character. They did a good job, like building his, his story up and everything like that. So he was evil as hell. So
on the other side of it, we've got our kind of not necessarily villain, not necessarily hero character that they brought in here. That was like supposed to be the big thing at the end of Guardians 2, Volume 2, was Adam Warlock. And he was introduced here. Will Poulter is playing him, and I gotta say, of everything in this film, he was the most underutilized character. I was kind of like underwhelmed with what they brought to him. I feel like they brought him in to bring him in. Like it seemed like there was a story there at the beginning as they were bringing in his character, and he was a catalyst of the whole purpose of the plot of the film, essentially. But then it just kind of all faltered, in my opinion. I gave him a little redemption arc at the end, but I didn't feel like they really used that character very strongly. Mikey, any thoughts on your end about like what did you think about Adam Warlock and his introduction in this universe now?
I mean, I think he could be taken out of this movie, and the movie would be the same movie, really. I mean, he didn't really bring anything too crazy. I think the first scene he was in was kind of the coolest scene he did, but beyond that, I didn't like I don't know, his personality, I guess. I didn't like how he was portrayed, and he wasn't utilized enough to make a huge impact on me. But I mean, he looked cool when he was on screen. But other than that,
I like
didn't
the gold.
really bring anything else to him. Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Mike? James? Did you? I mean, I'm assuming you have some familiarity with Adam Warlock and
definitely.
Stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Especially Infinity Stone wise.
Exactly, and which doesn't come into play here for him at all.
No, he's like a bumbling idiot in this movie, and truthfully, I was okay with it. Like it worked. Yeah, he's not as utilized as much. He's there just to move the plot forward, and I think really as like a stepping stone to show you, like, okay, he's going to be probably popping up a lot more going forward. And his message is kind of about second chances. I guess is kind of what you're looking at. That's the big thing. So I think was he necessary? No, but I mean they teased it then fucking 6 years ago. Fucking Adam Warlock was gonna come. So I mean, hey, they did it, and I think I like Will Poulter. So like he's really good like in the Hunger Games, not Hunger Games, Maze Runner. Maze Runner. That's it. With that weird fucking face of his. He also got jacked for this movie. So
he got super jacked.
Jesus
super jacked.
I was like, God, he's golden. So, but yeah,
I mean,
I thought he was okay. He was funny. I thought he was funny as hell. Yeah. There's that one point. I don't think this is a spoiler. Not really. But somebody is like puts a gun to like the animal that he's kind of grown fond of. because he's hella serious beforehand. Then he's like, let's not get rash here. Like, he just gets like, come on, bitch. Come on, slow down. What the fuck are you about to do? And I thought that was fucking hilarious. Because he's like, I'll do it. I don't care. He's like, then I'll do this. He's like, whoa, hey, chill. Like, what the fuck? So
that's my pet.
Yeah, he's like, stop. So, but yeah. So I was like, yeah. And yeah, he did look cool, I will say.
Yeah. Yeah, the look was there definitely. And Adam Warlock is he's
supposed to be very powerful. Like he can go.
He is.
I mean, it doesn't matter anymore. But he could have went like head to head with Thanos, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, he's like Captain Marvel strong, if not stronger than her. So
he's really smart in the comics too. So
he is. Well, that's what I was saying. Like it seems like they downplayed his
like a younger,
like a kid,
Adam
right? Yeah.
Which makes sense because they said he wasn't in his pod the whole time, right? Like they had to take him out early.
It was like a throwaway thing where he's half baked. He's not fully
Which
ready.
is funny because like hasn't it been like 12 years? I'm like, so when the fuck did you take him out? Like a day ago? Like 3 years ago?
He was an infant.
Yeah. So I mean, but I think they like live really long. So it's like they're trying to say like it's even like him being like that age where he looks like he's probably in his 20s, right? Like they're like, it's still too early to have brought him out, but they want to seek them out and blah, blah, blah. Because that whole species was created. I mean, they're hinting like the High Evolutionary created that species, right? Or something?
Right. He's the creator of them.
Okay. I guess. So that's fine.
But apparently still not perfect enough for him.
Yeah. A little too golden.
Yeah. So what about now big thing for this film which I think was really what helped this movie be a good throwback to at least the original Guardians, if not older Marvel films, is the action. Like especially at the end, there's like a really solid action sequence of them just taking out a bunch of, I don't know what to call these weird
mutants, I guess. I don't know. Mutant creatures.
Just
without trying to get into spoilers here, like
with no remorse, mind you, of everything they were going through. It was like no remorse of killing these things, but okay, whatever. It's like, you know, it was really obviously highly choreographed, very stylized, but so fucking like awesome to watch just on the screen and giving everybody their due of all the little things that they, you know, their action bits, the guns and the swords and the, you know, the brute strength. Like you got to let all that sink in and see that all at once and give them their time. I thought it was great. What James, I want to go to you. What were your thoughts on the action overall, even the specific scene? We can talk about it near the end, but like, how did you feel about what James Gunn brought to the action of the Guardians?
There's like two sequences I think that sting out. Yeah, the hallway scene, obviously, that one's pretty awesome, and also I really like the scene with Peter and Drax. No, Peter and Groot actually, where they are confronting the High Evolutionary the first time, and Groot is like, hidden all these guns and shit inside of him, and they just start blasting away. I thought that was cool. Because, I don't know, there hasn't been a lot of Marvel stuff that I've been like, oh, that's fucking cool. Like, the way that they're pulling it off since Spider-Man, probably. I think Spider-Man's like the last time when I was like, this is crazy.
You know, it's funny you say that, too, because just thinking about it, like, Spider-Man, he can go toe-to-toe with a lot of guys because he's quick and, you know, he's got the instincts, obviously, with the spider sense. But if you try to watch, like, Doctor Strange or even Ant-Man try to fight someone, they're not those kind of super. It's not like Captain Marvel or Iron Man, you know. Like you don't get to have that kind of fun.
Even seeing Thor, like, did you guys like that last scene with Thor?
I mean,
like, power now. I was like, please no. So, and then
that's true statement. Yeah,
Venom was kind of cool too. I won't lie. So, no, I'm just kidding.
But is that part of Marvel? No one really knows.
I don't know anymore. I actually don't know. What about Morbius? It's Morbin time.
It's Morbin time.
Another movie I slept. I got to rewatch that movie because I missed like 30 minutes.
You don't have to watch that film.
No, that's what I've heard, but it might connect. Who knows? He's with the Vulture at the end, guys. Anyways, so I liked it. Action was cool. Everything worked for this one. I thought they did a good job of, and there even like the ending scene where they take down the big baddie without getting stuff. Like that was fucking cool. Like teamwork, you know, it's all about teamwork, and they don't. Every cool sequence had like multiple people. It wasn't just one guy highlighting it out. So I was like, this is pretty tight. So,
would you say it's about the family?
Yeah, especially Groot says it. Please watch Fast X in 3 weeks. I was like, what the hell? What did he just say?
How did he throw that in the film?
That's a Universal film. He's like, I am Groot. So I was like, do I understand him now? Oh my God. So yeah.
What about you, Mike? Mikey, what did you think about the action? Any standout scenes for the movie?
Oh yeah, I really like the hallway scene. The two scenes that James mentioned is probably my two favorites as well. But the hallway scene specifically for me was really good, and even just like the non-action, like it's kind of like the same scene here, but with like all the pets and stuff are running around, and like all the crazy creatures and stuff are there. So
Yeah.
it
What
just
are
was a really
these
cool scene in
things?
general. Yeah. So yeah, just kind of echo what James said already. I kind of agree with what he said.
Mm-hmm. Was there anything that didn't work for you for this film, Mikey? Like, did you feel like, I know we talked a little bit about Adam Warlock, but was there anything from the plot or anything else in here that you like, they could have not done this or changed this around a bit?
For me, I didn't really see anything that I would like didn't super work other than like I already mentioned the Adam Warlock earlier, kind of mentioned that I didn't really feel like they utilized him very well, and like I feel like he could kind of be removed and still have a good movie. And then I wanted a little bit more of High Evolutionary, like kind of his backstory and kind of more about him. But overall, they did a really good job kind of closing things up, doing a little bit of character development, even though this is kind of like the end of a trilogy, they still did character development pretty well. And you definitely get to know a lot of the characters more so than you did before. So they kind of brought in some new stuff and finalized a lot of things, and still had a ending where you could have another one, right? So like they did a lot of things in the story really well. So I don't really need anything extra or remove anything. I'd be okay with what they have here, other than Adam Warlock.
Yeah. How about in your end, James? Anything that you felt like kind of held the film back?
No, I don't think anything held it back. I will say one gripe I did have was I wasn't as big of a fan of the soundtrack for this one, as opposed to the last two films, which I thought had really solid ones. This one, for me,
This is more like 90s, right? It went 90s and then ended in the 2000s.
I'm not sure. Some of the songs, I won't lie, I didn't know all the songs. Some of them I was like, this is good, kind of a deep cut. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck this is.
Well, he
But
didn't
yeah, I
get
know who
two
the
songs
Beastie
he
Boys
wanted, right?
are. What was that?
Is that what it was? He
James
didn't get
Gunn
a
didn't
couple
get
songs?
like two songs he really wanted, and he had to
He didn't
change
get-
the songs.
I read he only had one song he couldn't get
Was it
because
one?
of a
Okay.
rights issue.
Right.
That's
yeah.
it. And I listened to it, and that's from like the 70s. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I know the Beastie Boys and like the
That was a
Smashing
good scene.
Pumpkin song, right?
Yeah.
Like everyone knows that song.
And
which I
Freak
thought
at
was
the
good.
beginning of the film. Yeah.
Yeah. No, sorry. What am I thinking? Creep, right?
Creep,
Smashing
sorry.
Pumpkins?
I said Freak, Creep. Yeah. No, it's
Yeah.
not Smashing Pumpkins.
What the
Radiohead.
fuck? Radiohead.
Yeah,
I'm
Radiohead.
sorry. Yeah, that song I meant, and Beastie Boys. But everyone else, I was like, I don't know these songs. So, but they do bring.
I
back
bet you
the
Marco
Redbone
knew them.
song.
We should ask him. He's old enough.
Yeah, they do back.
I knew 'em all.
They bring back the Redbone song, which I was like, nice. I love that song. Which is for the first one, so I was like, cool. But yeah, that's the only gripe. Maybe because like it wasn't as recognizable for me. But I mean, they worked though. A lot of that. And then I will mention this. I don't know why, but was there? I felt like they yelled a lot in this movie too, like at each other.
They did. There was a lot of yelling. There's a lot of emotion. Everybody's
Yeah.
angry with
Like,
each
there's a
other.
lot of like, hey, shut up. What are you talking about? But I was like, it's kind of like a family thing though. So that's fine.
They were bickering a lot, but I mean, in a good way though. Like you said,
But
they're
I feel like
family.
they've always
they're-
done that, truthfully. So I'm like, okay,
yeah.
that's fine. So, but really, there's nothing. I didn't think anything was really holding it back. I thought it was a very well put together movie.
I don't think there was anything necessarily bad about the film. I think there was a bit of a gap in some parts of the plot where the film has to do with the high evolutionary and his treatment to these species or beings that he's creating, and he has no remorse for any of these beings. He's trying to get this perfect species together to build the perfect society. But the way the Guardians kind of go after or try to go and essentially save their friend in this film, they have no remorse for life around them, which has been kind of what they were before. Like that's Peter Quill being a Ravager before. Like he has that in him to not care. But like they were attacking some of these, we called mutants. No problem killing them. There's a scene where James was mentioning with Peter and Groot, where he's just like kill them all, and just wants to kill everything around him. And a lot of these things are working under high evolutionary, under his orders.
Evil,
so
Nabil, the evil.
I mean, I guess, but that's what I'm saying. Like, they're not really guarding the galaxy in that sense. They're not really the Guardians. They're more like we're saving our family, and I don't care who stands in my way. So there's a lot of that without any forethought of what they were doing to the other things around the influence of the High Evolutionary. So there's a little bit of that kind of bothered me a little bit. Not to anything that ruined the movie, but I thought that was kind of distasteful in their characters. Not necessarily Peter, but maybe some of the other ones around them. And then we had Gamora, who I liked, I guess, from a sense that she wasn't the original Gamora, so she didn't have a lot invested in the Guardians. It meant more to Peter, her being there, than it meant for her being with the Guardians for a little bit.
Did you like those scenes where he's kind of remembering the older Gamora kind of thing?
Yeah.
Where they're like, I thought those were pretty touching. Like where he was like, I know it's not a spoiler. At one point, she's like, "Oh, we must have been a lot of fun," and he's like, "You wouldn't even believe it," or something. I was like, "Oh, my heart again."
Yeah,
this fucking movie doesn't know when to end. So,
which I guess we get, throughout the end of as we get closer to the end, you get a little bit of that glimpse of who she was. I don't think that relationship is going to be the same, obviously, because they didn't go through the same stuff. But it was nice to kind of find a reason to put her there with them. And get them connected.
Exactly.
I did enjoy that part of it because I felt like I was thinking to myself, like, are they going to get her to be with them? Like, what will be her purpose? She doesn't have anything to do with them anymore. So that was nice to see. I know we talked a little bit about how this compared to the other films, but I do want to ask, like, as a probably more of a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe as a whole, do you think these films will add anything more to where the MCU is going, or do you think that these are going to continue to stay like they were before, kind of on its own section? I'll go to you, James. How do you feel they're going to kind of connect to the MCU? Because even seeing this film, I'm not seeing their connection in that same sense for the multiverse stuff.
I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't want to get into that too much right now. Like, who knows where it's going to get into? But I can only assume some of these characters will show up in the next Avengers film, I'm assuming, since, that seems like it's multiversal. So, especially, I don't know. I don't want to go spoilers yet, so there's probably some specific ones. I mean, obviously, like, Drax ain't coming back. We already know Dave Bautista's done. But everyone else seems like fair game. So,
sure.
What are they going to do, though? Like, forever Drax, like, oh, he's somewhere else right now. Like, okay, cool. I guess we just won't question that shit. Like, don't worry about it.
I mean, they can just never mention him, right? They don't have to say where he's at. I mean,
no, these fucking Marvel, Disney people, Star Wars people love to mention fucking people, Mikey.
All the recalls,
yeah. He's on a trip, so that's why he couldn't come. Like, they talked about Jane Foster for years without showing her until the last Thor. Like, where's Jane at? Like, well, we brought her to safety. I'm like, didn't even have to tell me that, but thanks, Thor.
It's like, we broke up. We're not friends anymore.
Yeah, then I know I'm like, seemed like you were in love at the end of that second film, but okay.
How about you, Mikey? Anything that you feel like these do to enhance the MCU overarching story that's supposedly going to come through one day or maybe never? Who knows at this point?
To be
honest, what a loaded
I
question. Hold on, man. What a dude? Like, dude, I don't even know where the fuck Disney's going right now with all this shit.
I know. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, who knows where they're even going at this point with a lot of the back end controversy with Jonathan Majors, and I've got even forgetting about Kang. Just nobody's really liking where they're going with their normal stories and all this streaming stuff. So who knows what they're trying to do at this point?
To be honest, though, I think we kind of talked about it in the beginning. It's like these are kind of like offset, right? They're kind of out in space. They're kind of by themselves. They, to me at least, they don't fit with the rest of the crowd. They kind of are their own little separate story. I mean, will they or could they absolutely bring some of these characters in to like an Avengers style movie or whatever they're planning on doing? I think some of them could work, some better than others, but honestly, I'd be okay with just leaving these guys as kind of a separate entity and not being mixed in with the other groups, and I'd be okay with that.
I like that. I feel the same. I think that's good. All right, so before we go into spoilers, let's talk about what we rated these films. I'm going to start with you, Mikey. How many stars did you give this out of 5?
I give it 4.5 stars. I thought it was really good. Everything we've been talking about, it's just been a good film overall. Good story, good characters, good everything. So 4.5 it is.
Very nice. How about you, James? 1 out of 5. How many stars?
I also give this 4.5 out of 5.
Very cool. And I also gave this a 4.5 stars out of 5. So very
One or two
much on the line here. Yeah. Marco gave it a 5 out of 5. We don't even have to ask him. We already know. He loves it.
We knew before the movie. We knew.
Yeah, before he saw the film. All right, we're going to jump into spoilers. Just talk a little bit about the end of this film and then kind of where we see the Guardians going at this point or where this changed. If you haven't seen the film and you don't want to have us ruin this for you, please jump ahead a little bit. We will tell you what we're going to be watching next on our big episode number 150, which will be a fun time, I'm sure. So go ahead and skip forward if you haven't seen it. If not, stick around just a little bit while we go into spoilers. Okay, so the ending. Rocket is saved. He kicks ass with everybody. They all decide that no one dies. Yeah, it's very surprising. I was surprised. I expected somebody to be, KO'd here because they've given us a history of people dying before, in this series. So it wouldn't have been surprising that they killed off a main character. Very misleading. I know you guys didn't. I know Mike at least didn't see the trailer, but they show the scene where they're holding Peter Quill. Walking through whatever at the beginning, where he's like knocked out, and I'm thinking that I thought he was going to die or something, but apparently that was just fake out in the trailer.
Yeah, it's just him drunk. Yeah,
just him drunk being carried. But essentially everybody gets a good little, they need a mental health break, need to find themselves, just like a lot of us have had to do, and they all want to go their own ways. I'm gonna go to you, Mikey. What do you think about these Guardians now kind of being, at least the original Guardians, being broken up and doing their own thing? Like we touched a little bit, I know, about how some of the characters will, like Drax may not be mentioned, who knows? But I mean, just from a character standpoint, like, how do you feel about that? Do you think that was well earned? Do you wanted to kind of see them stay together? Did you need somebody else to die? Like, what were your thoughts?
I mean, I don't think you necessarily have to kill somebody. Although I did think someone was going to die in this movie. Just what everybody's been talking about. It just kind of felt that way. Like you said, I didn't see trailers, so I didn't see like the fake outs they put in there, but I heard there was a bunch of them where like you see like Drax and Rocket like pretty much in like dire situations, and then Quill being carried like that. So I heard there's a bunch of stuff like that. So I kind of expected it just hearing people talk about it, but I don't know. The way they did it was pretty clever, I think, because they're all going their own way, but they're all doing something that they could just come back, right? So not that they're going to all come back, but Peter just went to see his dad.
Grandpa.
Grandpa. Yeah, Mantis is just chilling to find herself, right?
Yeah,
so,
she's like, I gotta find myself.
So it's like they all left, yes, but they all are just doing life, right? So they could always just come back to where their headquarters are at, nowhere, and just come right back together. So I don't think they're going to do that. Obviously, some there's going to be contracts and shit that they got to deal with, but I don't think they'll bring everybody back. But they could literally bring almost anybody back that left and just be perfectly fine. So I don't think it really kind of affects the future of the Guardians in a big impact way. But actually, honestly, just looking at the group they have left, there's like a final scene with the new, like quote unquote the B squad, I guess, of people, and they still look like a pretty good squad. So I feel like even if no one came back, I feel like they'd be okay. I feel like they could still have like the style and the feel of a Guardians of the Galaxy movie with just the people they have left. So
yeah, I think with the right writers put together, you could probably have a good solid story with the kind of quote unquote new Guardians, with Rocket leading the fray. I think Rocket was always kind of the second in command with Peter Quill, so him leading the Guardians does make sense, and he's probably the most capable of them all. What about you, James? Do you like how they ended it with this new group, or did you want to? Are you optimistic of even seeing another film with the original? Would you not mind seeing it with the new guys?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I have a feeling they're not going to do another Guardians one, at least for a while, if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like they're probably a ways away from doing it. If anything, we might see this group like pop up in like the Avengers movie. I'm assuming. I'm just thinking like
Secret Wars or something like that.
yeah, or something maybe. Like yeah, that's true because it'd be like sci-fi, right? Maybe that. I don't know. So I don't think I wouldn't mind seeing another one down the line. Maybe they would. You know, they say the post credit scene that Star Lord's going to come back, obviously, so, which is funny because like Chris Pratt was so like iffy on it. Like maybe if it was the right thing, I'm like, oh, we didn't realize. Well, I guess you're actually in the goddamn movie, right? So, or like something's gonna happen. Like once again, he's on Earth,
Right.
so if there's any Earth events, I would assume
He could show up and do
there,
something.
right? I don't know how much he's gonna really help, but who knows? Maybe he's crazy. I don't know, but
Well, even speaking about Chris Pratt, you know, he's been doing a lot of these kind of action thriller kind of type films that they've been posting him up to be. And I like Chris Pratt, but I've not liked some of the work that he's been doing. I feel like not because of him, but because of what these guys have been using him for. Like
Chris Pratt. Sorry.
they're not using him to because he's fun. He's a funny guy too. He can be very charismatic on screen, and I don't feel like they use that to the fullest.
Yeah, definitely.
And James Gunn has found a way to, you know, put him on screen in that way and use all part of, you know, his funny, charismatic part and an action aspect of it. And I like seeing him as his character because of that, because that makes me feel like that's the action and funny Chris Pratt that I always like seeing. Whereas some of the other films, it's just way too serious, and he just has these one-offish lines, you know, like he's not Indiana Jones, you know, but he can come off as him a little bit sometimes, you know, if you know how to use him.
He's got that charisma for it. I know what you mean.
Yeah. So I do like him as his character, and I would like to see him more in the MCU. I think he would add where we're missing a lot from.
Where would he fit in though? Is what I'm saying. Like,
characters.
if not the Guardians of the Galaxy, like could he
I
just
think
show
he'd
up
have a
with
good
the Avengers
dynamic.
by himself? Like, hey,
Well, I do.
Peter.
I think with I guess he's Captain America now. Like with Captain America, the new Captain America and Bucky, you know, the Winter Soldier, like having them as a trio, I think that would work off pretty well because they all kind of like in the series, Bucky and Captain America now, they had a good kind of riff with each other. You know, had a good relationship, and I think maybe even adding in Peter Quill and that dynamic would actually be pretty fun. I don't know if he'd work in with anybody else because I think they force a lot of comedy on the other characters, like the smart aleck Doctor Strange, or you know, Ant-Man works fine too, but he's his own thing. I think he stands out compared to everybody else.
Yeah.
But like that trio, I think he would fit in pretty well.
See, I see him not being like a big main character in another movie.
He's
I
gonna
see him
just
as like a
show up.
Spider-Man
Yeah.
in Avengers Civil War, right? Where he
Yeah.
just pops in for a little while, you see him, and then he pops out.
And then you're like, you do the Leonardo DiCaprio thing, right? Oh my god, that was Star Lord. Holy shit.
Yeah, so I don't think he's gonna be like a huge role. I think he's just gonna pop in, pop out as he, you know, as they kind of need him. He's gonna be a minor role in some stuff.
It would have to make sense though, Mikey, right?
Yeah.
Like, because that's
It'd have to be a
I hope-
galactic force of some
I hope
sort.
they don't just throw him in just to throw him in. Like, yeah, wait, well, Peter's in fucking Pennsylvania, right, or something. Like, let's throw him in. Like, I don't know. Like, what the fuck, dude? So,
Yeah. And then just as a quick, you know, a side thing that we didn't mention that I wanted to bring up. There is the first, I think it's the first ever, at least in the main MCU film, the first F-bomb.
Yeah, it is.
Which was the best way to do it, I think, because it seemed very organic. I feel like it was improvised. I don't think this was written in.
it was.
Where essentially Nebula is trying to open this old 70s car door, and she's not understanding how it opens, and Peter Quill's trying to tell her, you know, giving her instructions on how to do it, and it's getting very frustrating, just like anybody else would be, like trying to give the instructions in a hurry. And at the end, she's like doing all these things, and she's like, what do I do next? And he's like, open the fucking door out of nowhere. And it's just very well placed, and you just, you know, at least my audience was one of the few times that they all kind of chuckled audibly at the same time. A credit to the just how much fun that cast was having together, and you know how the environment that James Gunn was bringing to this film. Like you don't get to see that in a lot of the especially the recent Marvel films, and just having a scene like that and knowing that it was like unexpected and also enjoyable, or had a good payoff was definitely worth just watching that film and just for that scene. So I just wanted to kind of mention that in there.
It kind of reminded me of like X-Men Origins, I think it was, where they try to recruit Wolverine and he's like, fuck off.
That's right. Yeah.
It kind of reminded me of that kind of vibe. So I really I thought it was like a perfect scene. It was hilarious.
I liked it too.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah, I will. One last thing I do want to mention is like High Evolutionary, like killing all the fucking Rocket's friends was pretty fucking brutal. That scene alone.
Well, he didn't really kill him, right? Oh, I guess
he shot Lila when she comes out, dude, and like she like raises her hands and got shot. I literally gasped. I was
it
like,
was sad.
Yeah, I was like, fuck.
And so sudden too, like you're just kind of looking like, oh no, she's dead.
I will say I did love the spin on like, dude, the Rocket literally like chews that dude and tears his face apart, like literally rips it apart,
destroys him. Yeah,
which was very crazy to see when they show like what he looks like. I was like, holy fuck, like
I didn't expect that,
dude. Me neither. Yeah. I didn't think it was gonna look so graphic. I was like, oh my god, this looks disgusting.
You know, maybe he thought that he had killed him because of that, and so never went to go kind of mention him or look for him again. Kept it in the past, not knowing.
Maybe he just wanted to escape that past, though. I think on top of that, because I have a feeling like he'd probably hear that he's back somehow. But that part was crazy, and I will mention the scene where Rocket is dying technically, and he sees his friends in like, you know, with the bright lights, and then like not yet, you know. I was like, oh, my heart again.
Well, shit. Peter Quill, I actually thought he was going to die in this scene because he was out in space for so long at the end.
Oh, at the end. Like, you're like, holy shit, is it like, Peter that's going to die? I thought so too. Because he went back with a stupid fucking Zune.
Well, and his face like kind of, you know, spread out like that.
Weird, yeah, he's like, why does his face look so puffy?
Yeah. So I honestly thought he died there, and I thought that's how they were going to do it. I'm like, okay, I guess that's fair enough, you know, but obviously not. He survived miraculously, as always.
All right. So that is the end of our review of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And with that as well, that's the end of the podcast. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Mike, for joining us once again.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. You're always welcome.
We appreciate you.
All right. Listen and follow us on your favorite podcast service. Trust us, we're on all of them. For a quick link to our socials, visit linktree/moviepalspod. So that's the Linktree, linktr.ee/moviepalspod. Thank you, and make sure to smash that subscribe button so you never miss an episode.
And make sure to also stay tuned for our next episode, which is episode number 150. Woo! So much excitement. We're not doing anything special, but you know,
Mike just fired a shotgun into the air. Very, very immature of him. Sorry.
Yeah. It's a fun time all around. But we are going to be reviewing one of the most family-centric films in modern cinema.
Possibly.
Fast X. Yeah, possibly. Fast X. AKA Fast X. I can't
believe that is still the name of this film.
Yeah, he ain't changing that. He knows what he's got.
No, you don't stop a good thing when you got it.
I know is there better be a DMX song in this fucking film. That's all. Otherwise, waste opportunity.
God. All right. Well, thanks, Nabil. Until next time, this is James.
And Nabil.
And Mikey.
Have a great one. Let's stop here for a moment to let you all know about Newsly. Newsly is an all-in-one audio super app for iOS and Android. It picks up the most trending articles on the web on topics you choose at any given moment and reads them to you in a natural human voice. For the first time ever, the entire web becomes listenable, all in one place. Browse articles from topics you choose and start playing. You can follow any topic as specific as you like, from sports, tech, business, science, Bitcoin, or heck, even the Kardashians. Newsly will find you the latest articles and read them to you aloud. They even have digital radio. Did we mention they also have podcasts from over 80 countries? Well, they do, and guess what? The Movie Pals podcast is there too. I started using Newsly as my default podcast player, and I can't think of ever going back. Download and use Newsly for free now from www.newsly.me or from the link in our description. And make sure to use our promo code TMPALS, that's TMPALS, to receive a 1 month free premium subscription. Newsly, stop scrolling and start listening.